Idalia is here in Florida, bringing on a large amount of rain and wind to follow. The once tropical storm has evolved into a hurricane, and for the very latest, we want to get over to our chief meteorologist, Matt Devitt.
All right, sounds good. So far, everything's going according to plan. There have been no surprises. This will not take, I've been asked this question already, a hard 90-degree turn into southwest Florida. We are in the clear, and that was the theme yesterday and the day before that, that this is not going to be our storm. And I hope that that can be very reassuring and calming to those at home that, you know, Ian was a lot for us in more ways than one, and Idalia is not going to be our system, but it will be a very potent storm up the coast towards the Big Bend. Actually, the current forecast, it could be the strongest storm that they have seen since 1896 for the Big Bend. So there is the core of it, and let me just reaffirm here that it hasn't been doing any surprises. It's going exactly where it should be. And there is the cone, and just for the reference here, I have put in the middle of it, the center line, and you can see right there how it's not wobbling left, it's not wobbling right. It is going exactly where the Wind Weather Team as well as the National Hurricane Center are thinking this is going to go, and it's not drastically going east. It is not heading into southwest Florida, but we still are feeling some pretty significant impacts. So we'd like to go big picture once again. I want to show you how much breathing room we have in reference to us, and as we measure this out, and it's almost parallel to Marco Island, so we get about 200 miles, and that's good enough for me. It's 200 miles away, but because of the power of this thing and the motion around it, that counterclockwise flow, wind is a force, and it is forcing up the tides, and a surge level of 2 to 4 feet will be possible later on tonight. Let's go local here, and I want to make sure that everybody feels protected and knows exactly what is going on where you live. So let's take it county by county. We'll first start into Collier County, where earlier we had the multiple tornado warnings, even a touchdown around the southeastern corner of Marco Island. If you have any pictures and videos of that, please let me know. Right now, nothing severe, it's just rain. Right now, we had a squall and a pretty batch of heavy rain pass by Moorhaven and Clewiston. Here's what's going to be your steady rain for Ave Maria and all the way towards Fort Myers in the heart of Lee County, Cape Coral, Sanibel, Captiva, as well as Estero. The worst weather that I am seeing right now, the bullseye, is DeSoto County, and it's into Highlands County. That is one of the squalls. I want to switch over to what we call the velocity signature. It basically just indicates wind. And where you see these brighter shadings, that is strong, gusty wind that's being blown out from the storm. And there's the strongest part. And I want to analyze some of that. We're going to zoom back in to DeSoto County. And I would say those winds, yeah, we're talking 50, 60 miles an hour embedded within the squalls. That just passed by Arcadia, and it's not impossible that we see some spotty power outages. I will, as we go throughout the remainder of the afternoon and evening, be updating those numbers, and I'll be happy to relay that on TV. Let's take it now into Highlands County. And same deal, the squall has the potential of producing winds gusting over 40 miles an hour. I'm going to switch back over to radar. And just going to be your steady rain for Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, and all the way towards Rotunda. Here's a look at how much rainfall we've had for today, and considering we are battling a drought, this is all needed and all beneficial. I'm going to sample some of these observations, and we are already at about 1 inch to 2 inches of rain with these heavy, heavy downpours embedded within the squalls. Offshore, 200 miles to the west, the Gulf has had better days, man. Those wave heights upwards of 25 to 30 feet. Near our shoreline, the wave heights right now averaging at about 5 to 10. So here is the very latest on the hurricane. Category 1 intensity. You can see the flare-up of showers and storms. The wind field in diameter is about 230 miles wide from north to south, and that is shaded in yellow. Here are the stats as of the 2 o'clock update. 90-mile-per-hour wind. The pressure's at 974 millibars, and it is pushing to the north at 15. I expect this system to make landfall in the Big Bend with winds of or forward speed of about 17 miles an hour. For a reference, Ian passed by at just 9, so it's going to be making landfall twice as fast. So the wind speeds of 90 miles an hour, that makes it as an upper end Category 1. The forecast for the National Hurricane Center is for a Big Bend landfall at 125, and that makes it as a Category 3 with very likely devastating results. So there it is, the forecast cone, Category 3, as it will be nearing a landfall for Wednesday morning. Here's the zoomed in view as the highest probability, and the forecast has not changed. It is still narrowing in on our friends around Cedar Key, Perry, and even towards Lake City. It's going to be a rough go of it. Life-threatening storm surge 10 to 15 feet will be possible. Here is the concentration of the computer models as they are still wiggling and going back and forth, but averaging around the Florida Big Bend. These are the computer models, and I want to address this. I've already had a few questions online about the loop action back to Florida. That is right now only with a few models. I'm watching it for you very closely, but you know, when we look at computer models, don't always look at the worst. We want to look at the average, not always the worst case scenario. And you'll look at some of these that take it out to sea, others meander it, and for right now, just a few have it curving back to Florida. I will be watching that like a hawk, I promise you. Wind speeds right now are coming in from the south and southeast, sustained at about 5 to 15 miles an hour. Here's a live look across the entire area. We're cloudy, we're rainy. This is downtown Fort Myers. Watching some of the tide levels. We hit our high tide about an hour ago here at Wink. But I do expect the maximum surge potential to be between about midnight and 6 a.m. late tonight. That was Marco Island. This is the Sanibel Causeway. Same deal. You can see the higher tides right around the brim. Look very closely at the bottom of the boat. This is some of the waterways in Cape Coral. The overall impacts, we're feeling them, but not to the caliber of Hurricane Ian. We're about 2s and 3s in terms of wind, erosion, isolated tornadoes, and surge. Here's how everything is going to be playing out. And please keep in mind that as we go throughout the next 12 hours, as this system, this is 5 o'clock and all the way towards 8, starts to depart and go north, we see more of a wind coming in from the Gulf. Wind is that force that's going to be pushing up the tides and also coinciding with our second full moon of August. So here's the future track model by 10 o'clock going in and out of some of these outer bands of wind and rain. Here's the status by 2:30 in the morning all the way towards about 5 and 6 a.m. And embedded within these showers and storms, they may do what's called train. They rain over the exact same spots. Now, Southwest Florida may average 1 to 3 inches of rain, but within those slivers, a quick half-foot of rain, not impossible. In terms of wind, the greatest wind gust potential is going to be along the coastline, but embedded within those squalls, as we saw today, you could see some winds gusting upwards of about 35, 55, even 60 miles an hour. This is into tomorrow morning, and then eventually you'll notice the values lowering second half of Wednesday, but still it will be gusty. Lingering rain from here on out, we have the opportunity for about 1 to 2 inches, but look at those slivers of yellow and orange. That is where locally it could be higher. Let's go over the midnight to 6 a.m. high tide expectation, and that's when we could see that surge of about 2 to 4 feet. Charlotte Harbor, 437, Boca Grande, about 219. Downtown Fort Myers, about 540. Matlacha, 445. Sanibel Captiva, give or take about 230, as well as 245. And then into Collier County, Naples, about 1250. Marco Island, 145. And Everglades City, we will be hitting about 3 o'clock for likely or maximum surge potential. So we're not going anywhere. We want to make sure that we keep you safe, and we will have continuous coverage on Hurricane Idalia in just a bit.